Welcome everybody to the first day of Computer Science 1. Computer Science 1 is critical thinking and computer science. It is a really interesting class. It's in fact one of my favorite classes to teach. It's really fun. It's different kind of every semester because we talk about, world events and what's going on in the world right now. And, I don't know, over the last couple of semesters we've had coronavirus and the pandemic and all that stuff, and who knows what will happen this semester. It's different every time. Welcome. This might be the first college class some of you guys might be taking, and it might be, some of you are probably people that have taken many computer science classes and are trying to get your critical thinking GE out of the way. You're all welcome. It's all good. We've got stuff for everybody here. So the question I've gotten the most in this class is about the class time, and the class time issue. I sent an email about it last night after I got a few different emails about it. It's a weird thing because this was set up from the beginning as an asynchronous class. An asynchronous class means you can watch this recording, which we're recording right now. You can watch it live, as about 30 or 40 of you are doing on Discord right now. Right now we've got 37 people on the stream live. That's A-OK. That's perfect. It's great. When you're watching it live, you can go on to the lecture room for Computer Science 1 and talk and answer questions and interact with each other and with me. You're free to and encouraged to talk while I'm lecturing. So if I mumble something and you don't hear what I'm saying, just be like, wait, what did the professor just say? And then somebody else will be like, oh, he mumbled, whatever. One of the nice things about online learning is you can talk while I'm talking, and it doesn't matter. And in fact, it's really nice. I actually like it when people are talking when I'm talking, especially online, because it lets me know that you're paying attention, right? Like it's one of the worst things in the world when you like give this whole thing, you're like ta-da, and then there's like dead silence on Discord, and you're like, okay, did they hear what I said, or are they at Taco Bell right now? Like it's impossible to tell. So I highly encourage those of you that are watching this live to talk and say hi and be friendly and chatty and all that stuff on the CSCI 1 lecture room. If you can't watch it live, and that's fine, I know a lot of you have conflicts in the 10 a.m. time slot, it's okay, it's fine. It's an asynchronous class. An asynchronous class means recordings are recorded by the professor and put up online, and you can watch them at your leisure. At your leisure meaning you have a 48-hour window to watch it. It's a 50-minute recording, so you have to find 50 minutes sometime within 2 days to watch a lecture. And I don't think that's too onerous a requirement. The lectures should be fun and entertaining in any event. And there will be a little bit of, there will be like a daily quiz or something like that, just to make sure that you watched the lecture and paid attention. This is a critical thinking class, so it's really important to participate. You can't just like learn critical thinking by sitting back and absorbing everything the professor teaches you. That's the opposite of critical thinking, right? Like to do critical thinking, you have to like actively like engage with the material and type things and things like that. So to that end, we've got a bot on Discord that is watching everything you're typing, and it will message you on Discord when you have completed enough participation for the day. I think it's not on yet. I think I'm going to turn it on at 11, and so if you haven't gotten a message yet, don't worry about it. But it should go through the logs and message those of you that have contributed enough. Okay, so let's get going. We're going to go over the syllabus today, and especially how attendance works and how grades work. You're like, what? Attendance in an asynchronous class? Yeah, it's important just from the perspective of like you need to keep up to date with something. I took an online class over the summer, and yeah, without staying on top of it, you'd fall behind. Okay, so again, attendance is like in that 48-hour window, right? You have to watch the lecture, probably do some small little 1 or 2 question quiz on it, and participate on Discord. And if you are trying to come onto Discord when it's not lecture time, the place where you participate is called the Help Center for CSCI 1. And we'll go over exactly what the requirements are, but basically that's open 24/7. The lecture room is only open during lecture hours. Okay. So we're going to go over the syllabus. Traditional first day of college. Your first class is typically to go over the syllabus. And then if we have time, we will get into critical thinking and kick that off with some fun stuff that I made for this semester. Okay, so this class goes over 3 different topics. It goes over critical thinking, and I'll explain in more detail what critical thinking is in just a little bit, but basically it's the best way to live life, let's put it that way. So rather than going through life being all gullible and believing what people tell you and all this kind of stuff, critical thinking is like how to organize your thoughts and beliefs and things like that in such a way that you believe true things and you don't believe false things. And it's one of the most important skills you can have in life. Even if you don't become a computer science major, learning how to do critical thinking is extremely, extremely important. We're going to do computer programming in this class. And if you've never programmed a computer before, don't be afraid. We do simple computer programming. It is a very gentle introduction to computer science and programming in general. The traditional first semester programming class is called CSCI 40. CSCI 40 is sometimes too difficult for people that have had absolutely no exposure to computer science before. So this class is sort of like a gentle on-ramp into the computer science world. We're going to be using a graphical programming language called Scratch, which was made by MIT to, be a gentle introduction to computer science. It's all drag and drop and this kind of stuff. If you've programmed before, whenever I give out a programming assignment and you're like, bro, this is too easy, just message me and I will very happily give you a harder computer assignment. And if you're like, oh, why would I do that? I don't want you to be bored. It's not like I'm gonna kill you or murder you with the assignments. But if you've taken 2 years of computer science and you're taking this class now to get your critical thinking out of the way, whenever I give a programming assignment, just message me, and I've got harder alternatives that will be more interesting for those of you that have done programming before. It's worth the same number of points, if you want to be bored out of your mind, go for it. Do the simple one. It's not going to bother me any. Okay, and then finally, we're going to be talking about social issues in computer science. So, computer science has had more and more impact, more and more influence on the world these days, and by and large, computer science majors don't talk about the impact that computer science has on the world. For example, what was I reading the other day? The predictive policing, right? So police departments use programs to figure out where crime will take place in the future, and will patrol them a little more. But they've also taken it to identify what people in the community are most likely to commit crimes, and the police will come by and knock on their door and talk to them and send them letters and if you've ever heard of an old movie called Minority Report by I think it was a Philip K. Dick short story that turned into a movie with Tom Cruise. It sounds pretty much like that, and so there's a huge number of ways that computer science affects the world. Social media obviously is a really hot topic right now. Like, to what extent social media is good or bad for society as a whole. These are all things we'll talk about. Okay, and so we'll sort of bounce around between these 3 all semester. So we'll do a little critical thinking, a little programming, a little social issues, and go back and forth. All right. Critical thinking is a lot of fun, and training in it will give you mental skills that will help you succeed at life. Okay. Learning to program, even if you're not a computer science major and have no intention to become a computer science major, maybe doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that in computer programming will be like, maybe that's something that interests me. Maybe I want to do it. So who knows? Or you might learn, I hate it and never want to do it again. which is fine too. But for me, first time I wrote a program, I don't even remember, but I was like, oh, this is fun, and what occurred to me was that programming was the closest thing that there is to like being a wizard in real life, right? Like you have some idea in your head. I remember I was like a kid or something, and I had an idea for like a video game or something, and I'm like, oh, if I'm good at programming, I can translate these ideas into my head into reality, and that's a cool feeling, Like if you're creative, if you like building stuff, computer science is one of the purest expressions of being able to make stuff, right? Like if you want to be a sculptor and sculpt things out of stone, you have to A, buy the stone, which is really expensive, and B, work on the stone for a couple of years. In computer science, you just take your thoughts and put them into reality, and they become real, which is pretty darn cool, in my opinion. Social issues, computer science, predictive policing, self-driving cars, that's a thing, right? Tesla now, claims they have self-driving cars, and they've also kind of, run over a few people. So, how is society going to change due to computer science? Here's the grading score. I really want to make video games. I teach video game development, so that's fun. I worked in the video game industry for a few years, making virtual reality video games, and we could talk more about that later. But making video games is, even if you don't do it professionally, even if you just do it as a hobby, like as a modder or something, or doing Roblox or Minecraft mods or whatever, it's still fun, and it's still a great mental exercise. Like it's actually, in my opinion, like really good for you, like mentally, to make games. So, some people are dismissive of games, like games are just things for kids, To which I say, look at the stats for Alzheimer's, right? If you look at the stats for old people that play games, like crossword puzzles and things like that, people who play games have much lower rates of dementia and Alzheimer's and things like that. So, it's lifelong gaming. Okay. I wanted to make mods for games. Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of a game called Team Fortress, or I guess Team Fortress 2 is the game with the hats, stuff like that. Yeah, I wrote one of the largest mods for Team Fortress back in the day that over 1 million people played. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. So, what mod? It's called Custom Team Fortress. It allows you to build your own class for Team Fortress. So, if you guys don't know what Team Fortress is, don't worry about it. But basically, in normal Team Fortress, there's a bunch of different classes. There's the scout and the medic and the soldier and the heavy weapons guy and the demo guy and all this stuff. And so I added the option to make your own class. And so you have a budget of money, and you use it to purchase your speed and armor, and you want the healing gun. Everything has a cost, and so you can kind of assemble your own class. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. So, then a mod came out called Counter-Strike that was kind of similar to mine. I actually talked to the guy who made Counter-Strike and offered to help him on it. He politely declined, which, if he had accepted, that would have taken my life in a very, very different direction, let me tell you. Because at the time, Counter-Strike was just a mod like mine, we knew each other's work, and then Counter-Strike goes on to become this like global phenomenon. Would have been really interesting, Anyway. So grading. So 10%. So basically, I've structured this class so everything is worth just a little bit of points. There's no like giant, the final's half your grade. None of that stuff. Like, in order to get a good grade in this class, you have to do a little bit of work every day. Okay? So, because what I've found in life is that is the best predictor for success. If you can do just 15 minutes of work a day, on something, then you'll do far better than somebody who just never gets started, which is usually what happens. Like, I'm going to write a novel. you know, and then they just never get around to actually putting, you know, pen to paper, you know what I mean? And so what the grading system is designed to is to get you to do a little bit of work each day and develop those habits of mind to be successful. So what are each of these categories? Well, the critical thinking, computational thinking, and social issues in computer science, those are these three things here. And so when I give a lecture on, let's say, critical thinking, I'll put up like a quiz for the day or something like that that's worth points, and then it'll contribute to your critical thinking grade. Or if I teach a little bit of programming, then that'll add to your computational thinking grade. And so this is kind of like your daily work kind of stuff. I'll do a lecture, you watch the recording if you're not here. And yeah, I know, it would have been cool to join the Counter-Strike people. But at the same time, I liked being able to make my own mod and not have to work on somebody else's vision too. So it's all good. It worked out for me anyway. So yeah, so the first three categories are just kind of like the little bit of daily work, just to show that you're watching lectures and you're participating, you know, you're sort of engaged in the class and stuff like that. None of that is going to be too hard. I remember last semester I had people go to one of these like website gaming things and play a game that basically demonstrated one of the concepts that I was talking about in computational thinking, and that was your points for the day and stuff like that. And computational thinking will also include like some small programs you're going to make. Okay. So critical thinking and social issues are going to be more daily work. Computational thinking will have some small computer programs in there. Okay. Towards the end of the semester, you're going to have to write your portfolio essay. I don't know how much you guys know about the GE portfolio requirements, but basically for this class, because we are a GE area, whatever, I don't remember the number, letter, or whatever, we're the critical thinking GE. You have to write an essay to demonstrate that you understand the concepts in the class. And we'll get to that towards the end of the semester. You don't have to worry about it right now. Okay. And it'll be on logical fallacies, which if you don't know what those are, don't worry about it. We're going to teach it this semester. We're going to learn a lot of fallacies. They're a lot of fun. There. Computational thinking is like mini projects. Yeah, like last semester I sent students to a website that showed them how to make like a Space Invaders style game from scratch, in Scratch, because Scratch is the name of the computer language. And so basically they followed the directions and built a Space Invaders and then had to modify it and stuff like that. To add new art or whatever. Hello. So, one thing that I do want to mention is make sure that your username on Discord has your last name in it, because that's how we track your participation. So, I'll get to participation in a second. So, textbook readings, you have to buy the textbook, which is called Zybooks. It has essays on different topics in especially social issues in computer science, and also in critical thinking, and also in computational thinking. We built sort of a custom textbook for you guys based on our syllabus. And so you have to buy the Zybooks through the link on Discord. Not on Discord, sorry, on Canvas. So if we go to Canvas, nope, that's on Canvas. Let's go to this Canvas. If you go to the class on Canvas, you'll see that there is, in the module section, first steps, make sure that you have clicked on all three of these things and signed up on each one of them. Click here and you'll buy the Zybooks textbook. It should be $58. And it is integrated with Canvas. So as I assign readings from the Zybooks, as you complete each section in the Zybooks, let me click on it just so you can see what it looks like. Here. It'll jump you to the textbook. So if we click on, I don't know, global impact, I don't know, digital divide. So it's got an essay. The digital divide is inequality of access to digital technology, and it's got charts and graphs, and then it has a little quiz. And if you get a quiz question wrong, not a big deal. It'll tell you got it wrong, and it'll tell you why, and if you get it right, it tells you why, and you can change your answer. And so some students, and I can tell when students do this because it reports it to me. Some students will just sit there and click on all the answers until all of them turn right. And if they're doing that, then I know that you're not actually reading the textbook. Okay, so actually, read the thing and, go through it, answer the questions. But it's not, when you finish it, all of them should be correct, right? Like if you get it wrong, don't be like, oh, I'm not going to change it. Yeah, change it. I just don't want you just clicking randomly on everything because you're not learning, right? You're just trying to get through the assignment as quickly as possible. Okay. Unable to accept invite to ACM. But you're on here already, Mona. the invite is for the Discord server that you just posted that on, so you're good. You're good on the Discord front. Okay. So so there's like these little essays, and that's it. That's the whole thing. So two paragraphs, few quiz questions, couple graphs, map, couple paragraphs, couple questions. Okay. And so when you finish it, after you click on everything, for you guys, not for me because I'm the professor, but for you guys, at the bottom of the screen, there'll be a little submit button. You click on that, and it submits your scores to Canvas. So if you go through this and get everything right, which you should, and like I said, if you get it wrong, just change it. It's fine. And read why. Like I said, don't just randomly click. I want you to actually read and engage with it. Hit submit. The scores get reported to Canvas automatically. You don't have to turn in any written work at all in this class. Everything is digital. Okay. Is the Scratch program similar to Snap? I don't know. I've never used Snap. Okay. How much is that book? $58 from what I recall. I think it is. Okay. So yeah. So in the module section here, buy the Zybooks textbook. Join the Discord server. All of you guys here are on Discord already. I've got 2 monitors set up. I've got one for my lecture and presentation. And I've got one over here that's got Discord. And so if you see me looking over here, it's because I'm reading your chat messages. And then Scratch is where we are going to be doing the programming. If you click there, then that will take you to a place where you can join the class on Scratch. Okay. Once you do those 3 things, you're set up. Once class is over today, I am going to turn on week 1. This video lecture you're watching right now will get posted onto Canvas. It'll be up on YouTube. I'm going to create a playlist on YouTube that will have all the lectures in it. And each day's lecture will go up onto Canvas saying week 1, day 1, welcome to the class, syllabus, that kind of stuff. And you can click on it and watch it again as many times as you want. And then there'll be a little bit of daily work. Like today, I'll probably post, I don't know, a stupid little quiz, what percentage points is computational thinking? Just to see, if you got 5 minutes into the lecture, you know what I mean? So, are you using it for Scratch? Does it also have our last name? The Scratch people want you to not use your last name. So, what's going to happen there is when we do programming assignments, it's really annoying because that rule is for elementary school kids, and y'all are college students. So, but the rule just applies to everybody. So technically, no, don't use your last name there. What you're going to do is you're going to submit a link to your work on Canvas, and then I'm going to click on each link and go through all of your Space Invaders games or whatever. Okay, so textbook readings are on Zybooks. So it's automatically reported back to Canvas as you do them. There's going to be about 1 of those a week. The first one I'm probably not going to assign till Wednesday or Friday maybe, just to give you time to purchase the textbook. I know that financially it could be a little wonky sometimes, and I'm a pretty sympathetic guy. If something comes up, just message me. That's actually not just for textbooks, in general. If something comes up, message me, and I will work with you on it. My rule is do it before the deadline, not after the deadline. Okay? That's the rule. Do you guys understand? If last semester a student's garage burned down, and he is yeah, is it okay if I turn the homework in late? I'm like, yeah, of course, I'm a very reasonable guy. But don't wait until after the deadline and be like, oh, my garage burned down. Like, just all you have to do is message me beforehand. And that's my policy on late work, is that if something comes up, work with me before the deadline. I have much more sympathy for students prior to the deadline than after the deadline, when I was like, oh damn, I screwed up, I forgot the deadline. Class deadlines are usually at 10 a.m. Not midnight. This is gonna come up, but the class day is 10 a.m. on Monday to 10 a.m. on Wednesday, or 10 a.m. on Wednesday to 10 a.m. on Friday, or 10 a.m. on Friday to 10 a.m. on Monday. There's that's the 48-hour window that you have to watch the lecture and do the little quiz or whatever. Okay. A lot of students are used to everything on Canvas being due at midnight. Nope, 10 a.m. And if you miss it, you miss it. I do offer lots of extra credit in this class, and everything is very non-punitive, right? Everything is worth just a little bit of points. So if you miss something, right? If you miss the first quiz, you'll have a 0% in the class. You'll be like, I have an F, and it's just like a tiny fraction of your total grade, so it's not a big deal. Did I say 10 a.m.? Yes, 10 a.m. Everything will be due at 10 a.m. Should you contact me on Discord or email? Discord is the easier way of reaching me. So there is email, there is Canvas messaging, and there is Discord. I prefer Discord. So just message me on Discord. And if I'm awake, I'm usually on Discord, unless I'm like eating dinner or something like that. If you ever have any questions, message me on Discord. If something comes up, you're not going to be able to make the deadline, message me on Discord. But just let me know. Do you guys all understand? Message me before the deadline rather than after the deadline. Please acknowledge this principle on Discord. Okay, because I'm a very reasonable person, but last semester, this one student just kept missing every deadline, and then after the fact would message me, and I'm like, before the deadline, dude. Still ended up passing, so it was not that big a deal, I guess. But okay, so the midterms are class participation. So class participation is you can think of it as attendance. In fact, I probably call it attendance in some place, but it's more than just attendance. You can't just say hello or yes or okay on Discord. You have to say a sentence of substance. And the exact criteria on it, I don't know. I didn't write the bot. One of my friends / former students wrote it. Will you send information or updates on Discord, or will it sent to our school mail? The module section on Canvas is where all of this is like your center hub for the class. All the lectures, all the assignments go up on Canvas. Discord is for discussions and things like that. So if I have an announcement like no class on Friday or something, I'll probably post it on Discord and on Canvas. I don't use email very often to contact students, simply because they don't check them that often. Okay. Will all assignments be posted weekly? Assignments will be posted daily. So after every class, there will be a small little assignment, what percentage of the grade is computational thinking? Something like that, just to make sure you're keeping up with the class. So, some student last semester was like, I don't understand why there needs to be attendance in an asynchronous class, and it's not. Again, you don't have to actually be here during the recording, right? You have a 48-hour window. But what's really important is that you are keeping up to date with the class. Because once you start falling behind in a class, you will just fall further and further behind. And I know this because it happened to me over the summer. I took a class from a guy named Mark Rober. He's a YouTuber who's an engineer. He does these squirrel obstacle courses and things like that. Amazing guy. He ran a class over the summer, and I signed up for it. It's cool. And unfortunately, I didn't realize that I was signing up for it while I was going to be on vacation. So I was in a cabin in Big Bear, watching his engineering process, and then I go from there to a beach house in San Diego, and he's like, all right, go into your garage and, get out some clamps and some aluminum rods. And I'm like, I got sand and water, and we're supposed to do 3 different builds. And I'm like, yeah, I brought with me, because he recommended like this Arduino kit to do the electronics project. But the first 2 projects were mechanical. And I'm like, I don't have anything, And so what happened was, and then I'm on vacation, so I'm not really watching all the video, and I just fall further and further behind, and then it just snowballs. And then after a certain point, I'm just like, peace, and I didn't do it. And it kind of irks me, because I'm a professor, right? I should be able to stay on top of things. But there's no real accountability and things like that. And it wasn't for a grade or anything. So, Mark Rober is awesome. And his lectures in the class were really good. Like, it was just my situation wasn't conducive to it. If I was here at home where I got stuff, I do builds. I don't know if I have any right here. I do builds with my students, So we built automatic ping pong turrets and things like that. That would do one of my students put in facial recognition and built a turret, so the turret would rotate around, and if it ever saw my face, it would shoot ping pong balls at it, and so other people would ignore it, but when I came in through the door, it'd shoot ping pong balls at me. Pretty amazing. And they tested it by putting a printout of my face on a popsicle stick, and they would move it around like that, and the thing would shoot at it. Pretty amazing stuff, I can do builds. It's just my situation at the time. I was at a beach house, and I'm just like, I can't do this. And so what's the point of me mentioning all this? Because what's really, really important for success in this class is for you to be engaged every day, right? So every class day, which is that 48-hour window period, you watch the lecture, you say something on Discord, you do the daily quiz, and that's really, really important. So it's attendance in the sense that I just want you to do something every day. Do you guys understand? I don't want you to wait till December and then try to watch all of the videos at once. It's just not going to happen, right? When are the daily quizzes due? They're due at 10 a.m. at the start of the next class day. So, like I said, there's a 48-hour window, and during that window, that's when you have to take the quiz. He did make fake packages, yeah. That the glitter bombs, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So are you guys with me on this? That's why we take attendance. It's not really attendance exactly. It's just more as a way of making sure you're checking in every day and talking and active. Okay. All right. Yeah. I think it's pretty reasonable. It's free points basically. All you have to do is say something, and you can't just say yeah or something like that. The bot waits for you to say something substantial, and then it'll message you, congratulations, you've completed the requirement for the day. And it all feeds into a database, and then periodically I pull the database and put it into Canvas, and that's where that grade comes from. There will be a midterm on week 6 and week 12 of the class. Each one of these is 10% of your grade, and then during finals week there will be a final that is 20% of your grade. The final is worth a little bit more because as an act of mercy, basically. Some students, if they've averaged out to a C, when the final's not worth very much, they know there's no hope of salvation, right? So I make the final worth a little bit more so that if you need to get a kick up in the grade at the end of the semester, it's available. When are the finals? I don't know. It's on the syllabus. It's December something. So bot goes off on how much you say. Yeah, yeah. I'll talk about that in a second. So yeah, the class day starts at 10 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, ends at 10 a.m. on the next Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah. All homework's due at 10 a.m., not midnight. I want to emphasize that again. Okay. There's going to be a little quiz or something every day, and you have to participate each class day. So participation is really important, especially when you're doing critical thinking. Like I said, you have to participate in order to do critical thinking, to get critical thinking. Okay. And so The bot is watching both the lecture room and the help center for CSCI 1. And when you've met your participation target, it'll message you, congratulations, you're done. You can keep participating, right, after that. I encourage it, but it'll tell you like when you've met your quota. And there's a couple points I want to make on that. First is when you participate and interact with people online, there's a tendency for tone to be lost. And so it's a lot easier to like say something that sounds like a joke that comes off as like rude to other people. So when you're interacting with fellow students online, or with me, I guess, hopefully, be positive, right? So, when you're talking to other people, don't be like, oh, cool story, bro. Like, because that can come off as like, oh, really? Really? Do it 10 a.m. the next class. So, like when I put up the quiz, probably in the next half hour or so, it'll be due at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Okay. The daily assignment is to say at least one substantial comment. Yeah. And asking a question. It could be a comment or it can be a question. Either way. And like, hey, I didn't understand. When is the final again? You didn't mention it during the video. And it's like, yeah, I know. I need to pull up the syllabus. And then I'll answer it on Discord, okay? But don't just like go onto Discord and be like, just hitting the keys on the keyboard and hitting return. Because even if you do fool the bot into giving you credit, I will go in and delete your credit for it. I don't want to have a chat channel filled with people going, a keyboard, putting your face down on the keyboard, rolling it left and right, hitting return. Yay, I got credit for participating. No, I will delete your credit if you do that. Okay, so just, it's not hard. I'm sure all of you have questions. And so if you have a question about something like, hey, what kind of topics are going to be on the final or whatever, that'll count. That'll count for your participation. It's really not supposed to be onerous. Like, it's supposed to be just like an easy, like, you just get it just for, being you. You know what I mean? I had one student that messaged me last semester who was like, why didn't I get credit for participating? And I checked his logs, and every day he would log on and say hi. That was it. I'm like, you got to say more than hi. And so he writes, hello. No, you gotta, like literally, that was the only thing he'd said the entire semester was hi. He'd log on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, hi. No. You gotta offer your thoughts on, what we're talking about, ask a question, just anything. Give me anything to work with here, dude. And when I asked him to say more, he just changed it to hello. I'm not much of a cat person. Okay, so let's talk about critical thinking. So critical thinking, what is critical thinking? It essentially boils down to wanting to believe true things. Like it's good for you if you believe true things, and it's probably bad for you if you believe false things. And so critical thinking is kind of how you sort that out, right? And it's a messy process and it's a tough process because in real life, there's a lot of uncertainty, right? There's a lot of doubt and uncertainty and imperfect and sometimes contradictory information in real life. Like if you've looked at like the coronavirus situation over the past 18 months, right? Like there's been contradictory information. There's people who have a degree in Google University claiming that this and this is a miracle cure, and then you've got the medical establishment itself not sure about things because that's how science works. Is it, like a study will come out saying, hey, maybe this ivermectin or whatever, this has promise, and then people do another study and it's like, no, it doesn't. And now you as a citizen is sitting there like, all right, what should I do? And it's tough, right? It's tough. But in general, it's good for you to believe true things and not believe false things because like you hear about these people that are taking like horse medication to like cure coronavirus or to prevent coronavirus, and they're like dying. Like somebody ate like a goldfish medicine that had hydroxychloroquine in it and died. Like obviously that is, it's bad for you. Like at a very superficial level, like it's just bad for you to be like, oh, well, I'll just eat this goldfish poison, and die. So essential oils, yeah. I know you share these live, yeah. So, yeah, it's everybody in America has been dealing with like, uncertainty. What kind of mask should I wear? Do I need to get an N95 mask? Is N93 good enough? Is a cloth mask good enough? Surgical mask? Like, we have just been dealing with all sorts of uncertainty, And when the coronavirus pandemic started, how infectious is it? How lethal is it? And in general, if we get it right, we're rewarded for it in life. Like, you don't die, by eating, horse medicine. And if you get it wrong, like, there's bad consequences there as well. And so, at a very superficial level, it's quite obvious why you want to be a critical thinker, right? Like, it's just good for you, right? But at a higher level, like, it'll help you in your job and work. It'll help you, avoid con men and con women, right? So they come up with it. Somebody comes up, it's like, hey, I'm a prince and I have this money and I need you to send me your bank account information. And you're like, I don't know if I believe you on that one. Critical thinking. That's what critical thinking is. Yeah. So, in general, in this class, I'm not going to take sides on a lot of the issues. I'm very consciously and deliberately neutral on matters of politics. Okay, so you will hear me criticizing various politicians, but every time I do so, if I come after somebody on the right, I'll come after somebody on the left. If I criticize Fox News, I'll criticize CNN and MSNBC. All right, like, I'm very conscious of being neutral myself. There's a few things that I don't have a lot of sympathy for. The world's not flat. Sorry. I mean, it looks flat when you're walking around, but the world's basically a ball shape. I've seen it myself out the window of a plane. Like, I'm not gonna entertain that idea. And it is true that 3 + 3 is 6. Why not 2 + 2 is 4? Because 3 + 3 is 6 is in the title credits for Rick and Morty, so I'll use that one instead. So yeah, we're trying to reach you regarding your car's extended warranty. Oh Lord, yeah. So so critical thinking is just a bunch of mental techniques that we use to sort out what's true and what's false. Okay, and so the opposite of critical thinking is the kind of thinking you see on social media, right? And I mean this somewhat sarcastically and somewhat ironically, but at the same time, I'm dead serious. Where if you look at the quality of comments on Twitter, on Facebook, on Reddit, there is some good thinking on there, but there is really I mean this actually quite seriously, right? If you just aggregate social media as a whole, in fact it's I think it's not even like a byproduct. I think that the way that Facebook's algorithms work is because Facebook wants you to engage. They want you to write back to each other. So I think what Facebook's algorithm is either deliberately doing or sort of has discovered works is to post the most inflammatory, stupid ass stuff on your feed. And you're like, what? How? Huh? And then you go, and then the person's like, oh, what? And I think the research actually shows us that, like, they're actually deliberately breeding conflict because it causes engagement. People are like checking, like, oh, did the person write back? Did the person write back? Like some friend of mine posted a thing on some social media site about how the farmers of Fresno essentially were responsible for Japanese internment in World War II, and I'm like, no, like, they benefited from it, it's like when the Japanese farmers had to sell their farms, they benefited from it. They didn't cause it, like, you can't confuse cause and effect, like, just because there's an effect of something doesn't mean the effect caused the cause, right? Like, and some random person on the internet wrote back and said, you're mansplaining. I'm like, really? Like, if a woman posts something, like, they can't be wrong, and then I was just like, oh wait, this is a publicly accessible post, and I got trapped by Facebook's stupid algorithm, right? Where they posted something utterly stupid, and then it trapped me, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's just ignore that whole thread. when you're dealing with your friends, it's okay. When you're dealing with randos on the internet, it's usually garbage. And I've come to see from the research, I think it's intentionally garbage. I think they intentionally expose you to the dumbest stuff so you get mad and you get engaged on the platform. So, your average social media user has unjustified beliefs. They just believe things because they want to believe them or somebody told them or something. They have no subtlety and nuance. In other words, everything's all good, everything's all bad. All Democrats are bad, all Republicans are good. Contra-wise, all Republicans are bad, all Democrats are good. Are they? News to me. Right? Everything's black and white. Everything's caused by just one thing. It's overly simplified and kind of idiotic beliefs, right? It's interesting how Facebook hears what you talk about and it pops up on your feed. Yeah. We'll probably talk about that at some point in this system, in this semester. Shares memes and stories without checking to see if they're true. I have a lot of friends that do this, and they see a headline and they like the headline. The headline says something they want to believe, so they reblog it or they retweet it or they share it because they want other people to see what they believe to be true, but they don't actually check the stories. They don't check the sources of the stories. They participate in mob behavior. So if have you guys ever seen like an internet witch hunt? Where like the internet goes after somebody. Like somebody becomes the target du jour. Like, oh, we gotta get after that kid that was mocking the Native Americans in front of the Washington Monument. It turns out the kid wasn't, right? Turns out the kid wasn't mocking the Native Americans at all. And CNN ran the story, and an internet hate mob appeared. The kid got death threats, the entire story was just fabricated, and so the entire internet came after this poor kid, like Janine Garofalo and like all these celebrities saying, we should behead the kid and stuff. Like, what, like that's not good for anyone. It's not good to participate in it. It's not good to be on the target side of it. And it's not good for our society. It's just the mob behavior, cancel culture, we'll probably talk about as well this semester. They believe things shared by people they like. So if there's some celebrity they like and the celebrity says, oh, you should do Goop, it'll cure cancer if you buy my $80, bee honey. If Gwyneth Paltrow said so, then it must be true, right? And they get their news basically from like either one source or they don't actually watch news at all. They just see things tweeted by other people and then they retweet them, and so they just echo people that they believe. And they also get mad and offended very easily, right? Like that's why I picked that picture. This meme actually works pretty well, I think, for the concept. They just get mad or offended super easily. And a lot of times, like when you point out like their beliefs aren't justified, then they go, wah, and they start flaming you. Okay, this is who we want to be. Like, I mean, if you're a woman, like probably less chiseled jaw or whatever, but a critical thinking enjoyer is somebody whose beliefs are justified. If somebody says, hey, why do you believe in God? You can say like, I believe in God because X, Y, and Z. Why do you not believe in God? I don't believe in God because X, Y, and Z. Right? Versus the social media person who's just like, I don't know, Gwyneth Paltrow told me to. It's not a good justification. Right? So we'll talk about justified beliefs probably next time. We're probably going to wrap it up in a minute. So rather than thinking everything's good, everything's bad, thinking about the world in terms of pros and cons. What is good about this situation? What is bad about this situation? Not everything is all good. Not everything is all bad. In fact, most things have pros and cons, right? Like Stalin, who's one of the evilest persons in the world, was able to keep the USSR together to fight Hitler, right? Like, I'll give that to him. You know what I mean? Like, the dude was pretty evil. Like, his son shot himself, and Stalin mocked him, right? Saying he couldn't even shoot straight. Like, Stalin was not a good person, right? By any objective, moral criteria. He's not a good person, and yet, the fact that he kept the USSR together and fighting Hitler led to the downfall of Hitler. Like, I'll give it to him, And whereas if you watch like Fox News, like they criticize Bernie Sanders for refusing to say that Cuba was all evil, right? This was a couple weeks ago when the Cuban protests were going on, right? And so, it's like, yeah, I mean, very, I can't, like, Hitler liked animals, and Hitler's like one of the most evil people on the planet, and there's still like, like he shot Hitler, like we'll give that to Hitler, he shot Hitler. So, when you think of life in pros and cons, it gives you a much more nuanced and sophisticated way of thinking about the world. Okay. So, whenever you're dealing with partisan sources or social media, like it's all good or it's all evil, and it's like, especially me, because I've studied a little bit of philosophy, like, I can usually find some exception or something, for something, critical thinking enjoyers look at references and sources, so it takes effort, like it takes work. I don't share almost anything on social media, and when I do, I usually check it out first to make sure I'm not repeating an urban legend or something like that. You look into both sides of the story. So, for example, like I said, Fox was coming after Bernie, so I'm like, all right, let's see what Bernie said on the matter. And he talked about, I think, their literacy program or something like that, and it's like, okay, technically he didn't say it was all bad. At the same time, he said, they have done some good, and literacy, like I kind of get Fox's point to a certain extent. It's like, all right, having a literacy program is kind of like, does that make up for the other stuff, So, yeah, but like, if somebody attacks somebody, see what the other person said, right, and see if they reported it accurately, Think about the bias of the source. Obviously, Fox News is more right-wing, CNN and MSNBC are more left-wing, and so just take that into account, when you're reading a news story, and read from a lot of sources. If you're going to be reading or listening to CNN, you should also listen and read to a right-wing source. And even if you hate Fox News, there's other right-wing news sources. If you read or listen to Mother Jones, which is a very left-wing source, read The Blaze or something like that, which would probably be the right-wing equivalent of Mother Jones. And if you do that, you'll end up seeing like news stories very selectively present a set of facts, and they present a very narrow set of viewpoints on reality. And when you read a news source from the other perspective, you're like, oh, reality is more complicated than I thought, and it develops a more sophisticated view of the world. Critical thinking enjoyers don't get mad very often, right? Like especially when I see somebody get upset because like your belief isn't justified, and when it's not, people get upset, and and when they get flustered and start flaming, it's like, all right, it just means that you don't have the ability to defend yourself any other way. Allsides.com compares sides with neutral. That's good. I'll check that out. Alex Jones, yeah. Right. So, yeah, tunnel vision, is a big problem, and a lot of it just is because it takes effort to do these things, right? Like, it actually takes mental, like, you have to be like, I need to check in to see if this thing that I'm reporting is true or not, right? And that takes time. Whereas if all you do is read the headline to like blog, that's just a click, and the main difference between the critical thinking enjoyer and the social media user is the critical thinking enjoyer actually takes the time and effort to read stories from two different perspectives before sharing a story, looks into it, reads the sources. I got into an argument with my friends, and I ended up having to read a 180-page doctoral thesis to figure out if the source they had posted was full of crap or not, and it was. So, it takes... NPR is pretty neutral. Yeah, well, NPR... The selection of topics on NPR does show a little bit of bias, but NPR does tend to do a pretty good job of being neutral on matters. Yeah. Troll thesis. No, it was just it was the thesis was not. the thesis didn't say what my friend was portraying the thesis as saying. We were talking about, does meritocracy exist, right? In America, broadly speaking, do you get promoted based on your hard work and skills and intelligence, or do you get promoted based on your race and color of your skin and who you know and things like that? And it's a very fundamental question. Like, is our society at some level fair, or is it unfair? And that's a deep question, and that's not an easy question to answer. And so I read a 180-page thesis on the question of meritocracy, and on a plane flight. Like I was leaving, I was in an argument with my friend on Facebook, and then he posted a thesis. I'm like, all right, so I downloaded the thesis. On the flight back to Fresno, I sat there and I read a 180-page thesis. Not all, like, you know, I skimmed some parts of it that weren't relevant to what we were talking about, but everything that woman said about meritocracy, I read it, took notes. When I came back, I'm like, all right, let's talk about this, you know. And that's the only downside, really, to being a critical thinking enjoyer, is that it just does take a little bit of effort. You know, and that I wouldn't. In most cases, you don't have to read a 180-page thesis, but you know, in general, you just have to do a little more work. Instead of reading one news story, you read 2 or more. Okay, so that is the class for today. If there are any questions, ask them now. We will go through some examples of critical thinking and like how to approach claims and things like that next time. Main thing for today is the grading system and understanding the class day. Okay, so understand the grading system, understand the class day. That's what the quiz is going to be on. Okay, any questions? When do we start with the programming? I don't know. Whenever. Like I said, we sort of bounce around between the things. Probably it's usually like around week 3, something like that. But we'll see. Do you have to do the tilde thing? Nope. All you have to do is talk. All you have to do is talk, and then the bot will do all the work. So in about 3 minutes, I'm going to turn the bot on. The bot is not running right now. It's going to go through the chat log, and hopefully you should get a direct message. If you don't get it, then go on to the help center and type, you know, I don't know, a couple sentences, you know, to get counted. Do you excuse us to leave? Yeah, we're done. Where do we get access to the recordings? The recordings are going to be uploaded onto YouTube every day and also posted onto Canvas in the module section. And yeah, if you guys want to jet, that's fine. I'll answer questions. Hang out for a couple more minutes. It is the first day of school, so you know. Peace out for those of you that are leaving, and anyone else. Yep, you have a good day too. Any other questions? Will we continue where we left off tomorrow? Yep. So we will continue from here tomorrow. Okay. Where do we access the daily quizzes and questions? It will be on Canvas. So on the module section on Canvas right here, I'll turn it on right now. And so on the module section on Canvas, there will be a link to the YouTube video for this lecture right now. And there will be a quiz on there. You take it, you'll have, I don't know, 10 minutes to take it. It'll be like, what percentage points is daily participation? 10%. Okay. What a great way to start the day. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, sir. What are my office hours? My office hours are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 to 12. And they're on Discord, obviously. Technically, though, my office hours are 24/7. Just send me a message on Discord. And I'm pretty good about answering them. You know, like I said, if I'm like eating dinner or something, like, you know, I'm not going to get to it immediately. You can also always ask questions on the Help Center, and other students will answer your questions as well. Yeah, you have a great day too. Okay, all right. Thanks everybody, and I will see you on Wednesday. This will be a fun semester, I promise. Unless a meteor hits the Earth or something. All right, see you next time.